Film Club.
So it's like, if you had a scale of pasties from Greg's, you got like chicken bake up there, you got like a sausage, bean and cheese one, because I don't like beans, so fuck that. And then you got like steak bake, which is here, you got festive bake, which is like near the top. You got sausage rolls, which is near the festive bake, it's up there.
Thank you for joining us for one more round, and welcome back to episode 10 of Film Club.
10, double figures.
Finally in double, no. If you don't know what just happened there, go watch episode 1 of Film Club and never again.
So yes, episode 10.
I'm one of your hosts, Andy Harrison, and to my right, as always, is Andy Dalton.
How do?
This week, as always, we have been watching a film, and we invite you guys along in the audience to watch along with us. This week, we've watched Scott Pilgrim.
Versus the World.
Versus the World, which I always forget because like the book series is always Scott Pilgrim something.
To be honest, I just refer to it as Scott Pilgrim because it's Scott Pilgrim.
So Edgar, Wright, give us your breakdown. Give us your quick summary of the story.
It's weird. It's like you can tell we're just watching this film as a comic book adaptation. Now, it's about a guy called Scott Pilgrim. He's had a recent breakup. You find out that he's had a recent breakup a year ago, not recent. He's going out with a schoolgirl, and everyone's like, he's in a band, he's in indie. It's the full-on hipster of hipster films, but in a good way. And then he meets this amazing girl who's the love of his life, and he's with her, and she's like, oh, things are great. He has to break up with his ex-girlfriend. It's all about like Scott and his what he's gone on in life. Then he finds out that his new girlfriend, Ramona, has 7 evil exes, where he has to literally fight them. And then it comes to the end where Scott earns self-respect as well as love, and he defeats 7 evil exes, and he goes away with Ramona on one ending. So
yeah, the ending of the film.
Not the best breakdown in the world, but there's so much happens in this film that it's kind of hard to kind of put it all together. It's about a guy and his love.
Where do you want to start with it? Because like I think whenever you approach something like this, when you approach an Edgar Wright film, I always feel the need to start with Edgar the fact that it's Edgar Wright.
2010, 2011, 2010.
Yeah, 2010, that sounds right.
And Edgar Wright is superb. So Edgar Wright, for those who don't know him, is a great director. He's famous for his like kind of comedy, not quirky kind of style, but kind of is as well. His shortcuts, his film cuts, it should be him that's telling this, but obviously I know my stuff about film. Great examples, Shaun the Dead, Hot Fuzz, and World's End, at World's End. Yeah. Any other Edgar Wright films that we should know about?
No, he's done, those were his 4 films, Hot Fuzz, Shaun the Dead, superb. World's End, Scott Pilgrim, but then he did the TV series Spaced.
Oh, yes, he did.
It's like where he got his kind of his start before he moved into films.
And it's interesting because all those 3 films mentioned besides Scott Pilgrim, so Shaun the Dead, Hot Fuzz, and World's End, are all English films, British films. Yeah. Whereas Scott Pilgrim's a Canadian film, and it's got some great Canadian.
But, okay, right. There. This is total side note, and if you're new to Film Club, sorry, we go on tangents every now and again. Do you classify a film by the people putting the money into it, or the people making it? Because this is an Edgar Wright film.
The character
and
of the
Edgar
film.
Wright is British.
The character of the film.
No, it's not the character of the film at all.
No, the character of the actual film. Like, Canadians is always stereotyped as being really nice, but there's some great guys. There's some great lines in it. What's his flatmate called? Wallace. He always calls it Scott Guy. And there's other things as well. And there's a really cool, fun fact I'm going to leave for the end in there. But I don't know, I think it's got that whole Canadian Toronto vibe in it, you know, like the Battle of the Bands and everything like that. And my stepfather and stepbrothers, they're all Canadian or come from Canada sort of thing. And I can see the Canadian in this film from what I've seen in Steve Sean and Tyler.
Yeah, that's because it's set in Canada. But like, do you classify it as, sorry, what I'm doing at the moment is I'm actually just Googling to find out if it's considered a Canadian film or a British film or an American film or whatever.
Does it really matter what it's considered as? It's down to what you perceive it as.
No, not at all. But I always think it's unfair to take the credit away from Edgar Wright when this is such entrenched as an Edgar Wright film. When it like that to me says it's a British film.
Okay, well do it, yeah, by all means. But I see Edgar Wright has adapted Canadian element to this film really well. No, it's brilliant. Whilst you do that, I want to go on a couple of things that I noticed about the visuals that I really love. Come back to us in the English. Oh, what's it saying?
United Kingdom, United States, Japan.
Fuck off.
We'll leave that.
Yeah, that's annoying. So, what I said at the start when I was trying to break it down is you can really tell this is an adaptation from a comic book, and it's almost like poking fun of itself for being an adaptation in the sense that it's so self-referential in the sense that it has a punch and it's a pow, or when the guitar's played, it's like D D D D D D D like that. Yeah. Even though that's D and another note. because it goes higher in pitch. But yeah, it's really cool how it's those comic book elements. Can I ask you one thing that I want you to just notice? Now I noticed this, and I was like, because you're the camera guy. The aspect ratio changes in his dreams.
Yeah.
How cool is
It's really
that?
cool. It goes like more cinematic.
Yeah,
It's
and he
awesome.
goes, I saw it go down. I was like, oh, aspect ratio. I'm going to tell Andy. He's going to be impressed. So yeah, I really enjoyed that. Is that true to Edgar Wright's style? Because I know he has those. Edgar Wright is these quick clips. What other style does Edgar Wright do? What does he do besides his quick?
So Edgar Wright's whole thing is that he really nails visual comedy, and this is like on show in force in Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah.
He was always trying to find how to tell a joke in somewhere other than just people delivering lines. So he's always trying to do something with the camera, something with lighting cues, audio cues, some way to emphasize jokes and gags and humor, rather than just two people like delivering lines.
And a great example of this is a scene where Scott's about to go to the Demon Head place, not Demon Head, the end place, the palace at the end, and there's all these cuts, putting his jacket on and all this, like action film. Then suddenly it stops to his shoelace. And it's when I came in last night, and he's just shoelace. That's hilarious.
Exactly, and like if you take away the editing of that isn't a funny joke.
No.
If you edit everything to be the same sort of pace, or like if you just cut to a shot of him like doing up his shoelace, it's not funny.
Yeah, but because it's fast paced, then it's
funny.
like suddenly slow paced shoot time.
Yeah,
and there's loads of other parts that he does.
If you look at the story of this, it's not a difficult story to grasp. It's a pretty simple, straightforward story. You know everybody's like feelings and emotions.
He does fight 7 evil X's.
Yeah, but you always know on the surface how everyone is right at that moment.
Yeah.
Like imagine, think of Taxi Driver, how we had to dig into like how that character was psychologically. There's none of that here. That's because Edgar Wright's main focus is always, okay, how can I play with the format? How can I play with the form of film? How can I make a joke through editing? How can I make a joke through lighting? How can I make a joke through sound? And so he's always thinking about how can I make like a transition interesting. Every scene in this film transitions into the next.
It does. I mentioned that as well. He cuts really well, but he cuts through time. Like a good example is something happens to Ramona when he's on the stairs and he's with knives, and he sees Ramona the first time dropping an Amazon delivery off to the librarian.
Yes. How
good's that memory? And then Six for Bombs, one of their soundtracks goes in the background. Then suddenly it transitions to him playing a guitar. It's like, dude, you didn't even play a note. You only play one note through that whole thing. Then suddenly he's on Scott as well. Then it transitions to them walking to the to Thingy's party, Julie's party.
Yeah.
And it's like all one song, and it's all done so quick. Like it's so fluent in that editing. Excuse me. Another thing I noticed. But you're right. You're absolutely right in regards to the fluidity of this film.
Not fluency.
And it's quite cool as well. Like in a lot of films, when you go into the past, you have like a good example is Forrest Gump is when you have a younger a younger Forrest Gump in the film. In this case, when it goes into Ramona and goes into her past, it uses cartoons to express that, so it still has their voices over.
Yeah.
And yet it uses cartoons.
It's lovely to see all the cartooning in this film is done by Brian Lee O'Malley, the guy who did the original Scott Pilgrim books.
What this is based off. So that's what, you could tell it was, because I've seen the comic books and game. I know comic books is his favourite. The Scott Pilgrim one's one of your favourites besides Spider-Man.
So good.
But yeah, so it's nice to see that in him. And like I said, the use of words alongside sounds. Do you have anything to say about visuals?
Yeah, actually, I want to touch on. I was talking to somebody about this recently. I want to talk on the color palette.
Okay.
And it's because the color palette so easily could have been like bright, poppy colors, and it could have been like colorful, comic booky colors, basically. Instead, Edgar Wright chooses to tone it all down and make it all feel quite like natural, realistic. Like if you watch the beginning of this film, like the very opening of the film, you'd be forgiven for not realizing that it was going to be like this crazy zany like adventure, except for like the beginning where it's like Scott Pilgrim is dating a high schooler, and it's like cheesy dialogue over the top. But if you look at that, it looks almost like it could be an indie drama.
Yeah.
Like the lighting, everything.
Like Juno or something like that.
Yeah, it's not like heavily graded. It doesn't have like too heavy emphasis on certain colors. It looks really natural, and I think that juxtaposes all the crazy stuff that goes around it so well. And that's what makes like everything else sell so well. The fact that all those little like flourishes as well that you were talking about, like someone says something and like the little letters, the D letters come out, or like someone shouts something and they get like little squiggly lines around their head like as they shout it. All that stuff is also played down. Could have very easily gone bright and over the top, and he keeps it all in a really, really controlled tonal range.
I like it. Get you, Mr. Colour.
That's my official name.
I just realised we should maybe have like a tally thing of the amount of times we say the word tangent or juxtapose.
Juxtapose.
Yeah, there's two of our favourite words so far, I've noticed anyway. Now, so there's one statement I'd like to say, and I think a lot of people who, I think even yourself will agree with me, this is a sound designer's wet fucking dream. Like, this film is just, if you saw it and you was just like, give me this film, it'd be like, oh shit, like that, in that kind of voice. It's amazing.
Disturbing. It's a little bit disturbing.
And what's really cool is it just jumps in straight to this. You know exactly what kind of, like, how good this is going to be in regards to sound reduction. Just at that intro when it's Universal, it's fucking 8-bit and it's an 8-bit.
Oh my god, I completely forgot about that. Yeah, it's amazing. It's like the best intro to a film ever to take the Universal sound and make it 8-bit. Like, how do you agree? How do you get Universal to agree?
It's
like,
so good.
Yeah, you can fuck up our logo and you can fuck up our audio on it. Go for it.
And then later on, it's amazing. It's when they have Universal, when Chris Evans is there and he's playing the second Evil X, and it goes, he goes, I was supposed to click there.
Yeah, the doom doom. Yeah,
like that. Yeah, so that was really good. But yeah,
actually, again, tangent. We've just been discussing whether like this is a British, American, whatever film. It's distributed by Universal. That's where the money's coming from.
American?
Yeah.
All right, thanks.
But obviously there'll be a British.
Oh, Universal, sorry, yeah. Ah.
But anyway, carry on.
Sorry, I really want to push you. So yeah, use of 8-bit sound is amazing. Universal intro, the P-bar. I really like the P-bar.
The P-bar.
Like that.
Yeah.
And the fighting scenes, of course, you know, when he's getting he fights the X and you get the 6,000 for the twins and stuff like that, 2,000 for Chris Evans, Lucas Lee. It's all lovely like that, and you hear it throughout the film. But what it also does as well is it uses other sounds, and I'll go into that in a second, but when you're using the title cards, I think the title cards are brilliant. You know, it says Stephen, talent, 22 years old, and it has a little like a little nice little card there.
Well, do you remember when we complained about what film was it that had lower thirds? There was a film that had names pop up for every character, and we complained about it.
Martian.
The Martian. Go watch episode 1 of Film Club.
You've already said that, Andy.
Go watch episode 1 of Film Club again and come back. And we complained about the use of titles and that, because we didn't want to like see everybody's name.
Yeah, but that's quite a serious film, whereas this is a comedy.
Exactly. This film doesn't at any point try to pretend that it's in like its own little universe. Doesn't pretend like all these effects and stuff are there. It's aware you're watching a film.
You know you're watching a film when I'm watching this.
And it languishes in the fact that you know you're watching a film, and it just loves that and keeps pointing references to it all the time. It's great.
Oh, it's nice. It's a really, really funny part. There's two use of Mac sounds, very similar Mac sounds in this film. And there's one where they're in Wallace's apartment, and it's going with everything that's Wallace, and then there's one that's Scott.
What's a Mac sound?
You know, like Mac areas, you know, that window area. Fuck Windows.
Oh,
you know, like,
okay,
gling, like that. But in a Mac, it's it's called Frog. And I can't do the sound, but anyone that knows a Mac, you know, has a Mac, knows the sound. And when it goes to everything that's Scott's, it plays the Mac error sound, which is already, I always associate that. What the fuck's wrong now? Not that you hear it often, because Macs never have errors. But you always, when you see Scott's, whatever it is, it's the Mac Frog error sound, and I always thought that was really cool. And there's another use of Mac sounds, I think. It's the Mac startup sound, you know, duh. And it's used somewhere else, which I would have put down here, but, Mac startup sound when Comic of Ramona and Patel kiss. So, you know, got that first kiss, you know, Ramona's, I think it was the first kiss.
Was it?
Yeah, and it goes, duh. It does, yeah.
Totally missed that. But I think all this stuff, like, adds together to say one thing, and that is, this is the best video game film ever made. It
is. There's
totally
so many video game references. I've got them here as well. Well, the 8-bit sounds is a great example. You know, we grew up in like kind of 8-bit devices, Game Boy, for example, Mario, Pokemon, stuff like that. Although was Pokemon 16-bit?
Doesn't sound like 16-bit.
I just kind of put them together, 8-bit and 16-bit. I know it's a bit different, but at the same time, I keep the same. Anyone who does data and knows bits will fucking kill me for that phrase. But I kind of see the sound 8-bit and 16-bit quite similar. It's more like like that, like Tetris and stuff. What do you play when he comes in and Knives comes into Neil? What do you play? And we're obviously all about bands. He goes, Zelda?
Yeah,
Tetris?
This is a big question.
Yeah, and I thought it was so good. It threw me off, you know, because it's been a while since I've seen Scott Pilgrim. I was like, oh, fuck, you know, fucking hilarious.
And there's references like fighting games, like Street Fighter style stuff,
Yeah,
like
when
Mortal
they do
Kombat
the
style stuff.
dance
There's
stuff.
the ninja stuff, like reference to dance arcade games.
They continue.
The fact that they're called Sex Bob-omb, like everything
Yeah.
about this is
I'm
like.
I never got the sex bob on part. Fuck. Oh, that's really cool. Oh
So-
shit, no way.
Like
That's
video
cool.
games have always had a problem in adapting them to cinema. For some reason, no one really gets what's at the core of a game and adapts that properly to a film.
We're looking at you when you do Uncharted.
Like-
If you do Uncharted, you better fucking do it right.
I hope they don't do Uncharted.
I thought the idea was they were. Anyway,
Yeah. But this, I think maybe it has the benefit of not being based on a game, and that's because the thing that people always try and adapt into a game adaptation is they try and put the mechanics somehow into the film, and it comes off as like awkward and cheesy. Do you remember the Doom film?
oh yeah,
Like,
when they had the first person
there was
view.
the first person bit, and it's like we don't need this. And then you go to the other end, and you got like the Super Mario Bros. Film where everything is just totally different to the game.
Yeah, yeah.
This was just like paying an homage to the entirety of gaming history
Yes.
and what makes games great.
I mean, for fuck's sake, Ramona, when she's fighting her ex-girlfriend, she's a fucking hammer that Amy from Sonic has.
Yeah,
It was so cool.
it's class, isn't it? I didn't actually know it was from Amy from Sonic.
Well, yeah, she's always notorious for having the hammer and stuff like that. She gets this fucking hammer out. I mean, it could be anyone with a hammer, but I just think of Amy and Sonic. And I wasn't even a huge Sonic player. The one up, getting a life. What are you doing? Getting a life.
I love it. I absolutely love that. Like,
That was brilliantly done.
It's all proper old school gaming stuff as well. We're not talking about like Call of Duty
Yeah,
things. We're talking
yeah.
about like games had lives and like games like they did challenge you, and the fact that that plays into the story as well is even better. Like
He
it
literally
doesn't
goes
just
back in time because he's got a second life because he loses
Yeah.
that first time. Then he gets the thing of self-respect, the sword.
He's like he's not he's not getting that life. He's not going, what are you doing getting a life? And it's just a joke. It's a joke which pays off in the end and is integral to the story. And that's what Edgar Wright is amazing at, is making all those little details important.
And it's also pays a lot of reference to the old style kung fu movies. Because when you know other fighting scenes, which played a major part in this film, you like you said, you've got the 8-bit sounds. You've also got like the just normal punches. If I punch you, you normally punch a watermelon when you're doing the what's it called? When you recreate sounds, it begins at R. Foley artistry. I don't know why I said R.
Sound guy.
Foley recorder for recorder stuff. Something. I can't remember. Foley recorder. Anyway, you normally punch a watermelon. That's the sound of someone getting punched like that. It has a combination of 8-bit sounds, the kind of just generalised kind of punching sounds, you know, stuff like that, clothes rustling. And you also have these really kind of old school kung fu sounds that I really like. And it's that combination of all three, kind of like, again, it takes it away from the fact that you're not in a film, you're watching a film.
Yep.
You're not in that kind of world, you know fine well, like, it's got all the moves, it's got all the sounds from the film, and that was really cool. And how about that part when Scott comes in drunk after Ramona, and it's the sitcom?
Yes, yeah, I love
Yay!
it. Because there's some lovely stuff in the book, right, which is so, it uses the comic book medium in a really strong way, and you can't adapt that to film.
Yeah.
There's stuff like where there's this whole like cook along with Wallace thing, or is it Stephen, one of them, and like they lay out like all the ingredients that they're going to use, and like the idea is you can actually technically cook along with them
In the film,
in the book.
it's Wallace that he cooks with.
Yeah, and you can't do that. So instead, Edgar Wright looked at the medium he had and went, okay, well, how can we do stuff which is Scott Pilgrim in spirit, but the comic book couldn't do? Like, how can we do something in our medium which uses the medium to its fullest, just like the comic book did, but it's something specific to film? And that sitcom bit is spot on.
Yeah.
Absolutely spot on.
It was brilliant. It was really, really brilliantly done. I loved it. And it was like, ooh, like this. And all
Yeah.
this. That use of audience, it was great. I really enjoyed that.
I thought you were going to go the other way. And I love the bit where Wallace comes in drunk and he flies the door open.
He flicks the keys, doesn't he?
He's like, guess who's drunk? And Scott's like, I guess Wallace. I love their relationship. Wallace is like the best character in this film.
Oh yeah. Actually, no, I'd meet him if I could. But then he'd probably hit him.
Before we started rolling, we were talking about who
We were trying to do an intro.
who would you meet if you could meet
Any
somebody
character, not actor. Tris.
in the film, the character, who would you meet?
Wallace.
And I think actually Wallace.
Yeah, I can't believe I did. But I said originally, who did I say? I said, Envy's a bit of a bitch. I would meet her. Who did I say?
You said anybody who was hot and you could sleep with.
Yeah, that sounds right to me. Sorry.
So Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah.
Michael Cera.
Cool. As always, cool. Can we go on about the music now?
Well, we can still go on about music.
The music's amazing, absolutely amazing. I wish I had the notes for who did music, because I know one guy did it all. You've got Sex Bomb, who's like the kind of like, you know, the indie grunge kind of band, you know, like the old school kind of Nirvana style, like everything's distorted kind of bass guitars and everything. It's like distorted vocals, like really down, like that. You've got Crash and the Boys that are a bit like them as well. So sad.
They're like 3 seconds song. And then Wallace just goes, "It's not a race."
It was so good, wasn't it? Oh, it was brilliant. And then you've got the Clash at Demon Head, who actually a really good song, song. And when they have the bass off, in fact, there's a really good song where it uses Sex Bomb's music when they fight the twins, and it uses like kind of synthesizers to oomph up the sound because it's a battle. That was really well done. And then you got the Clash. When Scott has a fight with the vegan fucker. I've got friends that are vegan. Todd fucker.
Played by Superman.
Henry Cavill?
No, Brandon Ruth.
Oh, sorry. Sorry about that. When they're playing together, Todd is a better bassist. I'm sorry. He plays like Flea, and he plays the first thing that he plays around the world.
Like, that makes sense because at no point do they try and make Scott into a typical protagonist. He isn't good at anything. He's not like special in any way. He's just like a bit of a Doyle. That's kind of Scott Pilgrim through and through. But like he's the lovable Doyle.
He is massively so. So the music's superb. I really love the music in this film. There's two things that makes this music stand out even more. One's a little Easter egg, personal Easter egg. You know, I mentioned the Canadian family I have earlier. You know when it says, when it's introduced, you know, the Crash and the Boys, it goes, they're from, where they're from. They're from some place near Toronto, begins with B. This is Brampton.
Right.
And that's where Steve lived.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
That's cool.
I texted him when I was watching it, and Steve, my stepdad, I was like, "Steve, are you from Brampton? Like when you were living in Canada?" Yeah. Oh, cool. It's just referenced in Scott Pilgrim. What's really cool is Sean, my stepbrother kind of thing. He's a massive musician. He does it all the time, and I know that there's a huge music scene in Toronto, and that because I've never been actually. I'd really love to go. I know Sean has all these like kind of battle bands, these things like that. And it's huge over there. Yeah. Anyone that lives in Toronto will know. And everything I just hear from Steve, I hear from Sean, even Tyler, and just, you know, everyone around them. It's really cool to see that this is what I mean about the Canadian aspect of the film. I see that Canadian characteristics in the film.
Yes.
Which is ironic because everyone in this film was a bit of a bitch, a bit of a dick.
Do you know what? Can I backtrack on something actually?
Yeah.
You know, we talked about at the beginning, but I just said at the beginning that I didn't like the fact that this was American money took away the fact that it was like a British director. It's a Canadian writer. Brian Lee O'Malley is Canadian, and he's like from Toronto, and that's why the whole thing's set there.
How much of a dick do you feel
So I feel
right
like
now?
a total dick. I apologise, Brian Lee O'Malley.
I have your back because I said it was Canadian.
Yeah, but apparently it's Japanese, so you know.
I'd love to find out who did the music and who sorted it all out and like the sound and everything. There's one fucking Easter egg in this film I'm buzzing about. I'm genuinely buzzing about because it uses a band that I really like called Broken Social Scene. And it's like Canadian supergroup. Again, Canadian characteristics of this film. Supergroup, I can't think of any at the moment, top of my head. Anyway, so I found out the music. I tell you when I found out the music. The Time Traveler's Wife. Broken Social Scene did they were on at the wedding, and they did a song which is Love Will Tear Us Apart by Joy Division.
Right.
And I was thinking, oh, they're really cool. Who's that? I know the song was Joy Division, but that's a really cool cover. It was Broken Social Scene. Anyway. Yeah, it was Joy Division anyway. I was thinking New Order for a second, but no, it was Joy Division. Anyway, and so I started listening to them, and they had this really cool album. I can't remember what it's called, but they had this song on it. It was called Songs for a 17-Year-Old Girl. And it was like this really cool, like kind of chilled out song, and it was done with a woman singing on a vocoder, which is a bit like, it's not Daft Punk kind of sound, you know, you have that kind of electronic kind of voice.
Yeah.
It's kind of like you can make your voice into chords, that's what a vocoder is. Anyway, that song was fucking used. I mean, this film has got, I assume, its own kind of like music. It's not taken from anywhere. So they used Brooklyn Social Scene like an oddie. This song was out in 2002. So he's gone and said, I want this song in this film. It's used when Scott's speaking to Knives in the Chaos Theatre, and Knives is 17. Anthems.
Oh, right.
Sorry, not songs.
That's
anthems
really
for a 17-year-old
like
girl.
that.
I thought it was fucking awesome. That's so well played.
Well, while we're on Easter eggy music stuff, do you know where the name comes from?
Bob, you just told me.
No. Do you know where Scott's name comes from? Why it's called Scott Pilgrim? It's the name of a Plumtree song, and then Plumtree is it's a band, and Scott wears a T-shirt that says Plumtree on it.
Oh shit, that's cool.
So I just thought you'd like that.
Oh yeah. So that's the thing with Edgar Wright. His film, especially when it's Hot Fuzz and Straw in the Dead, his films are full of symbolism, references to previous jokes and everything throughout the whole thing, and it's brilliant for it. And these little things here like that, I don't know if it was Edgar Wright said I want Brocal social scene playing, but just those little things really make up the film.
Yeah, I mean the weird thing about this film as well, I should hate it because like one of the things that always turns me off for films is like them dripping in CG, and this film is dripping in CG. Like too much CG is the first thing that turns me off, but it's so well used. It never relies on CG entirely. There's never you never have an entirely CG creature that turns up on screen except for the big dragon.
That was cool. That was cool,
Yeah,
and it fit the whole art style and everything like that, the colour style and everything.
That feels like a video game moment.
Yeah.
Like it totally works. Like it doesn't try to hide the fact that when something is CG, it's CG. It's just
This
awesome.
is a brilliant example of what we said earlier, of not trying to be like, I mean, you could argue at Tarantino when he makes films, like we mentioned in the second episode, how he's very self-referential in the fact it's filmmaking and stuff when he shoots and she goes back.
Yeah.
This is saying that we know that you're watching a film, but it fucking works. It really works. It's also a great example of an adapting it from a different medium, as you mentioned earlier with the comic book. I've never read the comic books you have, and I know how much you love this film, and I know how
they're amazing.
Like it's amazingly done.
That's my one complaint. Before we wrap this up, I only have one bad thing to say about this, is that having read the books after I saw the film, loved the film, read the books, going back to it, the one thing that's missing from this film is Scott Pilgrim, the character.
Reckon?
Yeah, Michael Cera in that film is not Scott Pilgrim from the books.
Really? Credit to all the actors and actresses there.
He does a good job as a character.
Yeah.
But
he's not
Scott
actual
Pilgrim is such an amazing character in the books, and he's not represented properly on screen.
Fair enough. Okay, that's the transition. But besides that, it's a brilliant adaptation, and it'd be nice. And what's really cool and ironic, considering your previous point about games being made into film, after this film was made, film was done. It was created into a game.
Yeah,
we played the latest strict down, smash, played it, and played the whole thing.
That's the bizarre thing, is that this franchise is one of the only franchises to ever done awesome comics, awesome film, and awesome game.
It's a really awesome game. It's fucking awesome. Yeah, so full on brilliant
Scott
film.
Pilgrim, absolutely. Let us know down in the comments below what you thought of Scott Pilgrim, and obviously hit us up on Twitter if you want to talk to us as well. Next week, we're actually doing a Christmas special episode. Yeah. So
we thought
join us and watch It's a Wonderful Life.
Because it is a wonderful life.
Oh, God. So we can't wait to see you guys next week. Thank you very much for watching.
Take care of yourself. Thank you.